About 2 years ago, I was in Denver at the location of the National Chicano Youth Conference of 1969. The location, the building, the Crusade for Justice, that's no longer there. But if you see those pictures of the Crusade for Justice,
Okay.
the building, the post office, and there's a tree there on that road right there, Downing. They're Colorado ash. The trees are still there. I went to that tree, and the reason I'm bringing it up now is because we have a mobilization taking place for the date 500 years, August the 12th, August the 13th, this year, 2021, 500 years of the fall of Mexico, Tenochtitlan, on August the 13th, 1521. August the 13th, 1521. Part of our project here in Phoenix at the Barrios Unidos is the resurgence and the regeneration and the pushback on the offensive, not on the defensive, against that colonization that started precisely 500 years ago on August the 13th, 1521. So this year, on August the 13th, 2021, 500 years, we're putting it out there to all of the Chicano parks from Texas to California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, wherever they may be, to do a deliberate action and synchronize as part of the self-determination movement of the original Azteca, no? Nations, including the Chicanos, no? So I've had this conversation with Bones before. We know that there's a conversation taking place in Denver at some level. And as we go forward in this call, it's another piece of the ingredient or of the planning that we want to put in front of everybody, you know, that they could consider as they go forward in this movement, no? August 13th, 2021, 500 years. And that's enough. 500 years is enough.
That's good to know, Tupak. Thank you.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute me. I'm doing good, thank you.
Jesse and Lucas, Gita, Mike Valdez, and Lisa, the girl who just spoke, those are the chantraca from the Cuatro Milpas barrio where the park is located.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good seeing you all again.
Say hi, Mike.
I'm here. Okay, you know, so we don't keep everybody. Maybe we can just start with the how it's gonna go, and then when Bones comes in, we'll plug him. He'll fall right in line.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Are we good?
Yeah.
And then we'll come back, and Lucas, we'll ask you to tell us how you got how your park got started, and let me see. Oh, let me get my better notes over here. Having a hard time reading my own writing. Tell us how you got started, and during this coronavirus time, how have you, you know, what are you currently involved in, and how have you stayed relevant during these downtimes? It's been, I know here in Ireland, it's been real rough. And then the next question be, what struggles have you had or have had with the city, community, or outside forces? You know, because we know that we're all faced with challenges. And then we'll move on, and I want to have a little discussion about in the era of Latinx, you know, Chicanx, what are we doing to preserve Chicanismo? Because I think that's really the, if we're going to go towards the educate for the present and go to the future, that has to be addressed. And then we ended up with a two-part question. What does Chicano Park mean to you? And what does the land mean to you and your community group? Anybody have any suggestions or want to add anything to that? All right, so you want to say anything, Lucas?
No, I just want to say thank you all again and taking your time out. You know, I know it's been kind of weird with the scheduling right now. We're trying to figure it all out so it fits everyone's schedule. But, you know, I'm just excited, man. I feel like this is a historic moment to have all of us on the same, you know, call right now to be able to converse about the various parks and how we have that spread throughout Aslan, you know. So I'm excited. If there's any suggestions you all have, you know, feel free to let us know so we can incorporate those questions now. And, you know, we'll just give Bones a couple more minutes. That way we can get started.
Another thing through the format today, we'll go in order of Lincoln Park, La Raza Park, and then Barrio Unidos Park. So when a question comes up, it will be answered by each, you know, by Lincoln, then La Raza, so on, and Barrio Unidos, and we'll go through the program that way.
Understood. Sounds good.
I owe everybody a personal apology because I'm part of the reason for the mix-up. And like I said, I'm trying to stay married. You know,
Yeah. I don't blame.
I'm trying to do both. You know, I'm trying to do both. You know, stay involved in the movement. And I think someday we need to have a serious discussion about that because this takes a big toll on our families, all of our families. You know. My phone. And I apologize ahead of time. I'm kind of hard of hearing. Don't worry if things aren't going right. Lucas will kick me. He's got my back. He always watches out for me. You know, I count on him. So I'm telling you up front, you know, I am challenged that way. And in a few other ways. La neta, bro. Tell her like it is. Oh, but if I do that, I'll cut off.
Yeah, but you'll jump back on.
I'll get back. Do you have problems connecting?
Yeah, what is it? It's me. Oh, did you read it? Did you read it? No, I am unmuted. Good deal, man. Excellent.
Oh, and Bones, if there's anything you want us to share from La Raza Park or Tupak, if there's anything else you want us to provide, I know you have some videos too about the sunstone. we'll be more than happy to share them throughout the day too. That way people can get background about everything that you guys are working on.
Yeah, throughout the week, what it'll look like, there'll be like 1 hour platicas like this on each day to a dedicated topic, and the rest of the day will be uploads. And we've also got some big bands that are going to be playing, of course, virtually. And so different days we'll pick music and upload it as the entertainment for that day. But it's getting late, and so maybe we should go ahead and get started. You want to hit the official record button there, man?
Let me see. Looks like it's on. Looks like we're good to roll.
Got everything.
Recording's on.
Ready?
Ready. All right. We'd like to welcome everybody to today's Plática, which we've titled Sister Parks. And the focus of today's Pláticas from the different individual parks will be along with the theme for this year's 51st Chicano Park celebration. And that's, healing the past, educating the present, and focusing on the future, or teaching, learning for the future. I got that right?
Leading into the future.
Leading into the future, dispensa. But with that said, I'd like to ask each of the different individual parks if they would introduce themselves and tell us just a little bit about themselves.
Yeah.
All right, we'll start Lincoln Park, El Paso's Chicano Park in El Paso, Texas. My name is Hector Gonzalez from the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee. And sitting next to me is
Gabriel Gaytan. I'm an artist here from Mexico, muralist at Lincoln Park. We have about 40 murals that we painted, which complements the San Diego Chicano Park. And I'm here part of the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee.
now you want us to give you a little brief history of the park or
We'll start off with introductions and then we'll go into brief history.
okay, great.
So
Bones, you can go next, Bones.
All right. Saludos to everybody. Arturo Bones Rodriguez. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Bueno, Denver, Colorado, Aztlan, La Raza Park, lead organizer, 1970, Northside Barrio in Denver, Colorado, Crusade for Justice, and many other barrio organizations. Saludos to everybody, and we are glad to be a part of the familia that to us really is a practice of the Plan Espiritual de Aztlan, the action punto that says community control. One of the first actions Denver took in the Plan de Aztlan was to look at public spaces, public parks. And so in the city of Denver, we were blessed and unblessed to have 4 barrio parks. And so they all had the same conditions. They were not kept well maintenance. They were not all the jobs in Parks and Recreation. Mostly swimming pools were run by outside people. We had a lot of issues with gangs in the parks. A lot of human rights issues that are still exist today in a different way. So we took the Plan Espiritual de Aztlan action plan and implemented that as an example, for our community here in Denver.
All right. Barrios Unidos.
Go ahead, Lisa. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, guys. I don't know if you can see me. It's kind of dark. Okay, I'm Lisa Marie, otherwise known as Stranger. You'll hear people call me Stranger. I'm part of the Barrios Unidos committee, park committee. I've been involved starting in 1993 or 94, I believe it was, that we did the Barrio Peace Treaty. And then we're just continuing work here at the park. And so that's just the introduction for now. Nice meeting you guys.
All right.
Salud.
Maybe we, I know everybody here knows this, but since this is going out to the world, Jesse Constancio, Chicano Park Steering Committee, Chicano Park Museum.
Lucas Cruz. I'm also a member of the Chicano Park Steering Committee and a board member of the Chicano Park Museum and Cultural Center. But it's a pleasure seeing you all again. You know, I had the pleasure of meeting you all when we took our trip through Aslan. So it's great to see everybody and to be able to, you know, connect again. So, you know, to start off, you know, we want to ask, you know, each park to just give us a brief introduction of how your park started and what you're currently working on now. We'll start with Lincoln Park.
Okay. Lincoln Park in El Paso, Texas, located at 4001 Durazno Street. Our park dates back to 1977 when the park was established after a major freeway construction tore the city in half. Much of the Chicano Mexican American community was left south of the freeway, and a lot of the Black African American community ended up on the north side of the freeway. 18,000 families were displaced during this construction, and Lincoln Park was created. As far as the park itself, it stood as just a city park from 1977 till 1981. In 1981, Felipe Adame, one of the founding members of Chicano Park in San Diego, the artist responsible for the ceiling of the Kiosco and several other murals in Chicano Park, was a resident of El Paso and San Diego, would travel back and forth. He painted La Virgen de Guadalupe in 1981 at our Chicano Park, Lincoln Park. And in 1981, that became the very first mural painted. And to this day remains standing in honor of El Calvario Catholic Church, which was torn down due to the construction of the freeway project. Our park is located along Interstate 10, almost exactly like Chicano Park is right on Interstate 5. I mean, it's a stone's throw from the freeway. We had Felipe paint that first mural, and we are very proud to this day that one of the founding members of Chicano Park was also El Padrino, our founding father here in our park. And in 1981, he painted the Virgen de Guadalupe. And at the bottom of the Virgen, he placed a moniker stating that this was Chicano Park Dos. So to this day, we stand very proud to claim what he brought to El Paso from San Diego. And we really respect everything that he stood for and what he brought to us. Our park stood very much in idle from 1981 till about 1989 when Felipe restored part of the Virgen, and due to the passing of his son to an overdose of drugs. And from that day forward, the mural projects continued. The activism was very limited at that time. It was more mural art and things of that nature. 1999, the major project that took off, many of the murals were painted in 99 to about 2001, when again, things became kind of slow and didn't move forward until about 2005. In 2005 is when myself, Gabriel Gaytan, my brother, David Gonzalez, many of the board members of our committee, the Lincoln Park Conservation Committee, began to take over with some of the activism and the park projects and maintenance of the park. And in 2005, we started our first Lincoln Park Day event, which is modeled after Chicano Park Day. And to this day, it continues and has grown 20 times over the years. As far as activism, we began as a group of volunteers, artists, citizens, Chicanos, la gente, just kind of being proud of our park and our people. But como todo, it turns into la política. we had our community center, the Lincoln Center, threatened with demolition. The demolition was slated and was snuck up on the community. And in 2014, our community came together to stop bulldozers, to form human chains around our Lincoln Center Community Center. And to this day, we have continued that struggle and we fought. And so far, I don't want to say we've won, but we won a few battles, and the building remains standing, and we continue to fight to reopen our center and to continue to give a purpose and a little pride to our gente here in El Paso and all across Aztlan.
Bones, you want to share a little bit about La Raza Park? Bones, you're muted.
Gotta unmute, Bones.
Who's on mute?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, La Raza Park was born out of a protest in 1970 in Denver, Colorado. Was the second park takeover from Lincoln, what is now Lincoln La Alma Park in 1969 in the west side of Denver. When they took the park over in 69, they named it Aztlan Park. And now it's officially, they went into a different cultura. They call officially the park now La Alma Lincoln Park. We studied that takeover in the north side. We were not members of the Crusade for Justice yet. Members previously at La Alma Park in the west side, they were members of the Crusade for Justice. In the north side, we had a loose, organic leadership group of young people. I happened to be a college student at CU Boulder. And so I was learning about the movement, you know, the youth conference that happened in 69, came to Denver, you know, we're impacted, you know, and so we decided that, you know, we have the same conditions that exist in the west side and the east side, over in Glowville, Swansea, you know. We try to work with the city to upgrade the park on employment issues, and most important, to rename the park, which was named Columbus Park. So we decided after a year of trying to work with city officials that nothing was going to be done. They wouldn't return our call. They didn't take us serious. You know, we were some Mexicans trying to do something, you know, that they didn't want done, especially because we lived in a space that was occupied at one time called Little Italy, and the lower part of that neighborhood by the river was the Chicano barrio. We lived by the tracks. We lived by the river. The Italians lived a little bit higher than us. So it was known as Little Italy. As that changed and as our people became more populated in the area, you know, we started to feel the strength of our numbers. But we were highly influenced by the Crusade and the Movimiento, especially the Plan de Aztlan and the Puto of action. So we decided that we were going to take a direct action on June the 21st. And because it was a swimming pool, this park had a swimming pool. We didn't have recreation centers. All we had was a swimming pool. So it was seasonal. So we decided, you know, that we were going to have a splash in, just like they did successfully in the west side. And they changed the whole neighborhood in the west side. They got all their demands met and so forth. And they were a little bit more militant than us. They stole a car and drove it right into the pool. You know, what we did is that we staged a swim in, a splash in over 150 youth, primarily youth, high school, junior high, youth and young adults. You know, we had demands to change the name of the park from Columbus to La Raza Park. We actually had a vote. What would we name this park once we took it over? And so there were two popular names that came out. One was Chicano Park and the other one was La Raza Park. I spoke about the history and what had happened in April in San Diego at Chicano Park. And I said, there can't be more than one Chicano Park. And we do have that now. It's very interesting that there's another park north of La Raza Park. And I think I mentioned this, Lucas, to you, that that's primarily a baseball field. And that park was named after the Parks and Recreation, Joe Chancho. Well, we actually the next year after we took over La Raza Park, we took over Chancho Park and renamed it Chicano Park. It was a short-lived situation, but it did happen. We had Cinco de Mayo activities there. We had softball tournaments, baseball tournaments. We had something that was very new. We brought the charros into Denver, and they would do charreadas in a baseball field. But that really never took hold like La Raza Park. So La Raza Park became ground zero in Denver of the Chicano movement. Once Corky Gonzalez and the Crusade officially supported the takeover of the park, then the association to Corky's political leadership nationally and locally, it's now under the umbrella of the Crusade for Justice. Corky and the Crusade always allowed the leadership of the barrio to really take the lead. You know, they didn't come in and take the lead from us. They worked with us. Although Corky was the power, he was the voice, he was who the media went to. He was, you know, he was he was the man, you know, and so I happened to marry into his family the year later. And so automatically you get a blood transformation happening here in this. So La Raza Park becomes a part of the Gonzalez family, which is a good thing. And so we're very proud of that. So over the years, once we took over the park, we didn't get the name change of the park. We did get all the jobs. We got an upgrade of the park. And things are really going good for us because we use the park as an organizing space. We had a centro there that was actually a space that the city workers used for their tools and so forth. Well, we took that space over and we turned it into a centro. So we began to organize a lot. The Italian community really started to lean on us. The cops really started to lean on us. And so what we did was something that had never had been done in the political history of Denver in the state of Colorado, in that we recalled the first political elected official. And that city councilman was an Italian mafioso who hated Mexicans, and he hated La Raza Park. So to help him achieve his hate, we recalled him. And so from this day forth, we have elected 7 Raza representatives in that area, in that political district. In 2020, on December the 21st, after 2 name-changing petitions, failures to change it, after multiple protests at the park, in the community and in Denver, the name took hold. La Raza Park was the name of the park. Everybody started to relate to it, even city officials. On December the 21st, 2020, City Council voted unanimously 50 years after to officially name the park La Raza Park. So it's taken us 50 years. It has been the longest civil rights, human rights case issue in history in the state of Colorado. We do have a kiosco there, which is different than the kiosco in San Diego. We are also going to follow the Barrio Park in Arizona and probably have a mural on the basketball court. We don't have a lot of space in this park. We don't have a lot of walls. So we're going the sculpture part route here, but we're looking forward to a celebration, dedication, ceremonia of the new park sign that the contractor jumped the gun and installed it on Tuesday. And everybody was shocked because this was happening without our notice. We were supposed to be part of a planning committee. I really took it as a disrespect to us, you know, but they made a mistake. The contractors made a mistake, and they put the sign in, and we had people from the barrio filming it, taking pictures, and people were happy. I wasn't happy. You know, I was happy to see a sign there finally that came from our gente, but I wasn't happy at the way that was done. By the end of the day, the sign was taken out at the request of the city because we're supposed to have an unveiling, a new sculpture, and all that kind of stuff. And so, but what's important is for us to understand is that the connection to Chicano Park in 1970 in the spring, and in the summer, the same year, 1970, we're taking over Columbus Park. But the brotherhood, the family, the sangre, the connection that we had with Chicano Park over 51 years now is a tremendous bonding that we've had, that we will continue to have. I was talking to Isabel, and I was talking about how we have 3 generations of Chicano Park in Denver, and she said, well, I have 5 generations in San Diego. And I said, híjole, congratulations. So our story is pretty interesting, pretty unique, but we never gave up the battle. You know, we kept our eyes on the prize, and one way or another, we were going to change the name of that park, no matter how long it took us. Pero 50 years, that's a long time to wait when they were changing names of parks and streets in Denver after the movement was happening throughout the country to change names of Confederacy, take down statues. Well, that helped us. That helped us in the consciousness, because Denver knew that they had made a mistake in naming that park Columbus Park. And we actually educated the Italian community. It wasn't that we were anti-Italian. We were not anti-Italian. We were pro-humanism. And I told the Italian community, you would have been better off naming the park after Frank Sinatra, because most people don't know that Frank Sinatra was a civil rights activist. He would not sing in clubs that discriminated against Latinos and Blacks. So that would have been a better choice for them. Pero aquí estamos y no nos vamos. We are La Raza Park, officially in 1970, but the city thinks they gave us something. They didn't give us anything. We struggled for it. Adelante.
Good leading.
And Marios Unidos Park, I don't know if Lisa or.
Keith and Mike, why don't you guys take this one? Keith and Mike. Keith, go ahead.
You want to go first, Gaytan?
You start off, Mike, and then I'll come after you.
Okay, so I'll just try to briefly discuss Barrios Unidos Park. It's a long history, but I'll keep it short. Built in the 1980s, in result of a relocation of the oldest barrio in Phoenix. Currently, the oldest barrio in Phoenix right now, still around, is Las Cuatro Milpas, where the Sunstone Monument currently is, Barrios Unidos Park. Las Cuatro Milpas, established 1902 in Phoenix history. Before it was the state, we were Arizona territory, right? So we couldn't buy homes north of the railroad track. So our barrio sits about 2 miles just south of downtown Phoenix. We were part of county land. We were north of the Rio Solado, which is the Rio flowed back then in the 1870s and 1880s. So we sit in ancestral Otham land, right? Ancestral barrios that existed 600 years ago. This was the birthplace of Phoenix, right? The canal systems and all the historia that comes along with Phoenix. So our gente, our community, built upon this land, this ancestral land that ran. Barrios Unidos Park was a result in the 1980s of 6,000 homes being relocated by the Sky Harbor International Airport. The city of Phoenix came in with eminent domain and removed those families just west of the airport. 6,000 homes were relocated. That barrio was called Barrio Golden Gate. Golden Gate Barrio was the original barrio. That barrio no longer exists. There's the only remaining structure there is Bronze Sacred Heart Church, which is the church that the community built. And that's the only footprint established, the only structure that left remains. And it sat that way for about 30 years, just empty lots for years. In response, the buyout kept going west and ended on 14th Street in Mojave, which goes into the Milpas barrio. And in result, the community were fighting. This is an ongoing fight that we've had with the community going back 5 generations in our community. Just very much like other barrios in Phoenix, we have 5 generations of gente still living in this barrio. So the fight continues. So the city, we've been organizing since, there's evidence of organizing since the 1920s, the 1910s, mutual aid societies, as people fled Mexico to the revolution. They fled to our barrios. We were an agricultural community. That's what Milpas is exactly that. We were the 4 fields in our community, and so people migrated, live where they work, and establish homes because they couldn't buy in the north part of the valley, north of the tracks. So the community fought, organized, and the city built Barrios Unidos Park. We have 3 parks in our barrios. Barrios Unidos Park, where the Sunstone is, Nuestro Park, which is a smaller park, and then Milpas Park, which is even a smaller park, and the original Milpas homestead that was established in 1902. So these 3 neighborhood parks represent our barrio. And then in the 1980s, during the civil rights movement, of course, in the 60s, very much influenced by Cesar and individuals organizing in the farm worker movement, people like Gustavo Guterres. Our barrio met Tupak in the 80s. Tupak came over, and I'll let Tupak speak to his history, but we've known Tupak since the late 80s, early 90s. So very much influenced by that movement and Tonatiera. So we have a special relationship with Tupak and his connection to Chicano Park. So I'll wrap it up there. I'll let Kita chime in and share more information, just a real brief history, but we're very much like the other barrios in Phoenix. We're under an airport, and the landing gear is down by the time they get over our barrios. So they're about 200 feet above us, and we've been fighting them ever since, man. Since the airport's about 1930, so we've been fighting them ever since then. So, gracias.
Hello, my name's Felicia Mijares. Most people call me Kita. I've been in the community since the mid 80s, and I worked in the community center, Wesley Community Center, for 17 and a half years with the youth of the neighborhood. And I met Tupak and Mike along the way and some of the other projects that we've organized. I think Mike covered most of the history and Tupak has more. I'm just glad that I'm part of where the direction that we're going now, and to bring awareness to our youth and bring some of the culture back. Tupak?
Well, I think that's good for now. You get the general picture. It's a pattern. It's a systemic situation that we're facing in San Diego, in Denver, in Arizona, and in Texas, no? And the thing is, it's a systemic situation. We're facing a system. We should be responding systematically as well with our own system. They pick us off one by one, they'll be picking us off one by one. But this Chicano Park movement is a collective community response that's territorial, from Texas from coast to coast, no? So that would be my only contribution at this point, is that we have accomplished something over the last 2 generations, 3 generations. Yeah, definitely there's a foundation there to build from, to build on, no? And I think it's time for us to do that, to regenerate that vision of the movement, which that we came out of. It was mentioned 1969, the National Chicano Youth Liberation Conference, no? That was the full name of it. And that's what's still it about. We might be older by now, but we still believe in the liberation of our youth. That's why we're still doing what we're doing.
All right. Okay, maybe it was a good time to lead into the next section of, we talked about our past, and some of the healing that we've needed to do. And I think this is part of the educating of the present, but also leading into the future and looking at some of the potential challenges, not just as parks, but as a community. The way we see it is that our community and our people are once again, as always, under attack. In the late 60s, early 70s, it was the whole Hispanic movement trying to discredit and undermine our movement, trying to, and unfortunately, effectively co-opting and really putting a halt on a lot of what we were doing. But we see a very similar attack right now. And here again, it's another government institution. And this time around, it's the universities. And that's this whole, Latinx, Chicano X, and
Kleenex.
huh?
Kleenex.
I don't got a problem with Phoenix. I just don't like Latinx because I feel like it's a real disrespect to the people, right? And what it does, and I say it's disrespect because it neglects our history. It denies, the fact that, thousands and thousands of people have made massive sacrifices. Some of us have gone to jail, been tear gassed, beaten. Some people did long-term prison terms, fighting over from the beginning of of this struggle, starting with the Crusade for Justice. I'm like myself and Tupak. I was there in 1973, and really changed our lives. And I would like this moment to be another one of those moments for the young people that are coming up for the future. So with that said, in this era, what are you doing to help preserve Chicanismo? Because I think to a person here, at least one last thing here, the beautiful thing is we got young, we got old, we got our brothers and our sisters, and very inclusive. We're very, very inclusive. Yet that's the very nature of what we're being attacked for. So under this new era, what do you see your community, your park doing to preserve that whole thing of Chicanismo? Because that's what brought a lot of us here.
Well, I would like to, to share the idea of a regeneration, and Tupak has been really focused on one thing here in Denver, and I really thank him for this. Is that the youth conference, was really an impetus, a reborn of Aslan, the movimiento and so forth. And 53 years later, we really need to revisit that and really need to take it to the next level. To do that, we're going to need to be able to really, work and reteach, continue to teach young people and people in general. The elders, we need to relearn some lessons and some history. So that we're not confused, so we're not sending mixed messages out. The whole X factor that we're dealing with, either at the beginning of Chicano or at the end of Chicano, is not the issue. It's not the issue. The issue really is land. We're a land-based people, and once we look at that, and once we accept that, then we can shift that. And I think that, like Tupak has said, one of the strengths that we have in Denver, from the Crusade, is a tree. There was the only tree that was not demolished that stood in front of the Crusade. And Tupak had a great analysis when he said, that's the tree of life. That's the tree that gave us the plan espiritual de Aslan. That's the raíces. We need to go back and revisit that. So we're proposing that this year, on August the 13th, that we have a prayer, a ceremonial, and that we move forward with that. That's a very idealistic situation and thing, but I think it's a do. And so for different neighborhoods, different people, we're all under attack. You know, brown people, you know, things have not changed. Everybody's waiting for things to get back to normal because of the COVID. Things were never at normal for us. So it's never going to go back to being normal. I don't want to go back to normal. I don't want to go back to what we were before. I want to move forward into the new era, you know, sexto sol and so forth, you know, but you know, we need this multi-generational approach. A lot of our elders from the 60s are gone. You know, we are now the elders. You know, we need to work with the youth and the youngsters and guide them just like somebody guided us. And so the times are different. You know, the communication is different. I wish that we would have had the computer cell phones back in the day, because you think we kicked ass, you know, with the mimeographs and just the word of mouth, you know. Well, what do you think would happen if we all had cell phones? If we all, you know, had the technology that we had today, you would have seen a different movement. You would have seen a different results happening. So now we have that information. So we need to tie technology into this, and we need to be able to be smart. Just like that smartphone, we need to be just like that smartphone. So you know, we're shifting here in Denver. We have cadres of activists that are being elected into city councils. Right now in Denver, we have more Chicana Latinas leadership, also in the state house. Interesting, Corky Gonzalez, who ran for under the Democratic Party, he was a powerhouse. So he ran for the state legislature, lost. He ran for mayor, lost. 3 generations later, his granddaughter sitting in the state house. She is moving very good, very progressive bills for us. A lot of them around prisons, police reform, not only police reform, but defunding police. These were issues that we dealt with every day at the crusade that we still deal with. You know, a new bill that they're proposing right now is to try to do away with solitary confinement, not only in jails, but also in prisons in the state of Colorado. Colorado's become a pretty progressive state in terms of some of the things that are going on. So we have a shift happening here with activists. One level is going into the elected officials part. The other one are on the streets. They're the ones, you know, that Corky used to like to work with because they didn't have any fear. And they still don't have fear. What they don't have is direction. And so it takes a lot of work. So when you say movimiento, you're talking about not a romantic movimiento, you know, not a de colores holding hand movimiento. You're talking about, you know, work. You know, you're talking about a lifetime commitment to something. What would have happened if we would have given up on the name to change La Raza Park? You know, we wouldn't be where we are today, you know, but we stayed with it. And so we need more people to do that. So I want to thank all the other parks, you know, like what you're doing is great. Keep doing it. We know of your work. We see it on Facebook. It's good to see you tonight. You know, it's a great moment for our community, for our people. This is a great lesson for the world. And so we want to keep moving forward.
Well, one of the things that we're doing at Lincoln Park, which is Chicano Park 2, is that back in 2005, I met up with some young people that I, you know, click with because I was a little older. I couldn't find a group that was following what I was thinking. Although I did connect to my indigenous past with the circle here in El Paso with the, you know, the traditions, pre-Columbian traditions. But what I wanted to do was, like you mentioned in San Diego, that you wanted to connect the, promote the culture ideas. So what we did is that we ended up cooking, you know, getting together, deciding to do a Lincoln Park Day / Chicano Park Day in El Paso. And then the key element there was the lowrider community, which is the one that actually became the core of this celebration. But at the same time, they agree with me that we were going to do also el arte y la cultura. So we used that vehicle to promote to the young people and to preserve Chicano ideas, Chicano culture, and pre-Hispanic culture. So what we did is that we started with a car show, but it then become, and in 2005 we painted the first mural that the group, myself and the group did. Land Pride Car Club was the car club that helped. And from there on, I mentioned it to the car club committee that we need to use the art and the event to promote our cultura, our Chicano cultura. And to this day, we started with 500 participants, and now we're over 2,000, 3,000 people. And it's grown because I think it's grown. It's because Lincoln Park Day promotes what the city of El Paso has always, you know, de-promote, which is the Chicano culture. And, you know, with names like Latino and Hispanics and so forth, well, people start disassociating themselves with Chicano ideas. And what I'm proud to say, we have maintained that Chicano terminology or cultura and traditions here in El Paso to preserve it for the young people, the story and all that. Don't forget where you come from, man. You know, and that's the idea that we're doing in Lincoln Park.
Don't forget who you are.
Which is exactly what Chicano Park did in San Diego. You know, it's just, we're kind of like a little Xerox of it. Different years, of course, but still preserving the cultura, you know, our customs, like the lowriders, murales, artistas, and we have the matachines, we have the Azteca dance. We have invited the consulate from Mexico, and they send people over and they do their, you know, la música de Mexico, you know, the tradition and all that. So we're, you know, we're complimenting Mexico in the sense Juarez, you know, Chihuahua, and our clubs from Juarez, Chihuahua also come over and celebrate the day. So, you know, it's unification of not only car clubs, but I think this event, what we're having right now is that we should have a unification of parks and not who came first, you know, this and that, but a unification and a complement of each other. And I'm very proud, a little older myself, but I'm very proud to be part of this Zooming thing. And I remember when the computer was coming in, I used to say, really high-tech Aztec. I don't know, but that was a joke, but whatever. But thank you for the time.
What about Barrios Unidos Park? What is your perspective on the preservation of the Chicanismo and the importance of preserving the culture?
I'd like to just give an introduction for Lisa to talk about the Sensonilpan, Lisa. But as you've seen, and AJ's busy working over there, he probably might not be able to get on, but the design of what is called the sunstone, no? We have a saying, once upon a star, that design is no longer a mural. It was originally described as a mural. It's a monument, and it's a monumental location. It's functioned as an altar that is not just ornamental, not simply ornamental, it's instrumental. It functions as a calendar of the sun. It marks the movement of the sun through the solstice, through the equinox, and now we're marking the moon cycle as well at that location. It's not just ornamental, it's instrumental, and it's aligned precisely with the movement of the sun through the equinoxes and the solstices, the butterfly sun, no? Yet, all of these things that we have, lowriders, mariachis, la danza, all of this, we wouldn't have any of it if we didn't have the maíz. And without the maíz, what do we got? And we can't just have it on the walls painting. We can't just eat the tamales. So Lisa, can you jump in there with a sense on milpa?
Okay, so again, my name's Lisa. I'm actually from the barrio Las Cuatro Milpas. We started, it actually started with the Barrio Peace Treaty, like I said, in 93, I believe it was, where we had a really a hard time in our community trying to stop the violence, the gun violence. And so working with the prisons and with other barrios throughout the Phoenix area, we were able to accomplish that Barrio Peace Treaty and had peace to where we still honor that to this day. And that came to light when it came to the Vanessa Guillen mural when Blas and AJ put that together on one of the stores in the community, in the Las Cuatro Milpas community barrio. And what we did was we invited everybody from the Peace Treaty from 93, and we had a representative actually from that Peace Treaty. We had a representative come back, 15, 20 years later, and acknowledge the Peace Treaty, and came to a realization that our work isn't done. And so as a blessing for the mural at the Vanessa Guillen site, mural, we were gifted, actually it wasn't gifted, it was just simply returned to us, some corn that had migrated from Mexico. I'm gonna say thousands, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of years ago, and came north to the area which we call Gila River Reservation. And so it was through trade. So here we are revisiting this Barrio Peace Treaty, and the corn was actually returned back to Las Cuatro Milpas, simply to strengthen our community through the corn and the traditional ways that it benefits the community and our families. So with the Senson Milpa project, it kind of rooted and what came to life as the monument, the monument at Barrios Unidos Park came to life. So did the garden project called Senson Milpa. So when we break down the word Senson Milpa is Senson meaning 400, and Milpa, of course, fields. And so the purpose of this this garden project is to distribute this corn back into the community, and just as a pilot program off of the monument that we use, like Tupak said, as an instrument for different ceremonies that are coming up, including honoring the corn. So we started 2 months ago, and every first Saturday of the month, the community gets together to maintain the monument there at the park. And so we just kind of coordinate whoever is left of the community. Like we said, it's disintegrating. So we kind of bring the community back and invite everybody down to help clean up the monument. And then we integrate a lot of games when it comes to the instrument, the monument itself. We have the kids learn the numbers and the symbols, and we started planting the corn, in which we do have 2 baby corns. I just want to acknowledge that they're finally poking up out of the ground. So that's a big thing for us. But the project is on the City of Phoenix Park. So we're, with all the work and the blueprints that everybody has put down with the parks in 1970, that all the work that you guys have done, like I said, it's more of a blueprint for everything that we're doing. Our park is just a baby park and basically came to birth 6 months ago when the monument was done. So again, there's so many things that you guys did that we're trying to do, as in changing the name of the parks, creating this community garden. So we're at the very bottom part and just using everything that you guys did and put forth. And so I really, really got to acknowledge that and appreciate the fact that we have footsteps to follow. And it's kind of making it really, really easy on our part, because when we do present our ideas and everything that we're trying to work on to the City of Phoenix, it's recognized. And with everything that you guys set forth, there's proof and there's progress. And I don't know, the beauty of the unity and all the work that you guys did is making it really, really easy for us. So I have corn that we can send to you guys. I'm sorry, Patricia, I didn't get any to you when we went down to San Diego, or did I give you guys some corn?
Tupak gave us some.
Okay, good. So I'll be more than happy to send some to Lincoln Park and over there to Denver, so we can continue this 400 milpas. So right now, I think we're about 4 milpas in, so we have a lot more that we need to spread out.
Yeah, don't send it. We'll go pick it up.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that's pretty much it. Like I said, we're just a baby program right now, and just following your guys' footsteps. So I appreciate all the work that you guys have done and making it really easy for us.
You know, what I find interesting with everybody shared is that it all ties back to, like Bones brought up, is the land. You know, when we took our trip through Aztlan, all of the communities were all facing the same thing, whether it's eminent domain from the state, the city creeping in and destroying the communities that have been some of the oldest communities in their areas. And the big piece that, you know, for here locally in Barrio Logan is the preservation of the land. You know, and La Tierra Mia is what we really focus in on, and making sure that the park remains the sacred space, you know, despite the changes going around us. And I want to know, you know, what is your all perspective with the land, you know, and the land that you all occupy now?
In Denver, we are really moving like San Diego to reconnect with there have been historically 40 different, quote, tribes, nations that crisscross what's today the state of Colorado. That's incredible to know that even Denver had that kind of a population at one time of native peoples. Arapaho, Ute, and Cheyenne, mostly Cheyenne and Arapaho in the Denver area, you know. So we're really looking, we have been over the years supporting AIM, because the Chicano movement, you know, really embraced in Denver AIM, the American Indian movement. You know, when we had Escuela Tlatelolco, we had children who were Lakota. And so the land question for us is really going back not only to the indigenous quote laws that we have, natural laws as native peoples, but also looking at treaties. It's a fact that in in the Denver area that there were over 42 treaties, land treaties for indigenous groups. That's a lot. It's different than San Diego, where you have maybe one or two major, probably native treaties. I don't know. Pero there is a movement by the Ute and the Cheyenne and the Arapaho to rename one of the biggest peaks of the Rocky Mountains that runs through the state of Colorado, and that's Pikes Peak. And they want it renamed back to what its natural name was. And I can't remember that right at the moment, pero the land for us, the land question for us at La Raza Park was that the land belonged, like Zapata said, to those that work the land, and it is to be shared. Nobody owns the land. And I would like to thank the sister for talking about the gang issues that we had to deal with, and that people are still dealing with. In Denver, we were able to literally bring a halt to gang activity during the Chicano movement and through the 4 barrio parks that we have in the east side of town. It was the only time that Denver's gang activity dropped to almost zero. Once the city started to not support our programs, gang activity increased. And so we know that a solution to that kind of behavior comes from within, comes from la cultura cura, comes from brotherhood and teaching that. But once you take away that cura, then you're going to get into the dark world, the hate world, and so forth.
I just want to add Jesse, Lucas, and Gabriel, el hermano ahí del Paso, besides all the folks that are here from the Milpas, Bones, 1990, we were called to the first Continental Indigenous Encuentro in Quito, Ecuador in 1990. That's 31 years ago. And they were called us to come there as Chicanos. They didn't call us to come as Latinos, Latinx, Hispanic, none of that. They pulled us as Chicanos, part of the Continental Indigenous movement, to come to the first Continental Encounter in Quito, Ecuador in 1990. And as a result of that, the organization that I work out of and have been working from over those last 30-something years, the Tonatiera, we have been tasked with being the secretariat of the Continental Commission of Ayala. No, you talk about renaming the park, La Raza Park. Well, we're actually at the point of just reclaiming the original name of the continent. We do not refer to this continent as America any longer. We haven't done that for a while. Not even Latin America. I mean, please. Anyway, the point is that at the continental level, the situation is not that the land has been taken from us. The land is still there. We're still here too. What's been taken is that relationship of justice and self-determination that defines who we are, what we are, where we come from, and also when we are there, which is here now, the Nicantraca principle of being who we are. So I'm simply saying this. In terms of the land, it's not the land, it's Tonantzin, it's our sacred Mother Earth. It's never just the land, dirt, dust. That's our mother. We come into that conversation from that attribute, with that attitude. We know who we are. Now we can go forward because we know where we're coming from. We're children of Mother Earth. We're the original nations of Mother Earth. The proposal then, we need to make that clarification that on August the 13th of this year, 500 years, none of us will stand, none of us will condone or allow the destruction of this continent under the doctrine of discovery of 1492. And we have to move forward from that direction out of a defensive posture into a more affirmative and not on the defensive anymore, to move ourselves forward. We have all the pieces in place to do it, but one of the most critical pieces for the continental indigenous movement is the Chicano. Why? Look at us. Look at us. I mean, really, look at it. We're pitiful. I mean, we're really pitiful. Put it down to it. But nevertheless, we have found some way to survive in spite of all of these situations. Under the bridge, under the freeway, under the airport. They're trying to smash us right and left for 500 years, and we're still standing up to them. What are you going to do to me now? Huh? You already colonized me, genocide me, you did everything you could do to people to destroy a nation, and we're still here fighting back against you. What are you going to do to me now? That power of regeneration, not just resistance, but regeneration, that's what we're going to put in front of our people, and it's going to come out of the spirit of being the people of the corn. So I'm simply saying is that that ingredient, that element of analysis and regeneration of our reality as original nations, we will never bring that to effectiveness unless we dismantle the doctrine of discovery in terms of our relationship to our homelands on Mother Earth. That's got to be dealt with. It's got to be addressed. And we can't be talking about the Adams-Onis border any longer. That's a fucking Latino-Hispanic border. The Adams-Onis border is the fucking Latino-Hispanic border. Don't talk out of both sides of your mouth. Let's get it straight. And let's go straight forward from here.
Saludo, Tupak. I agree with what he was saying. In reference to the land and the situation in El Paso and Texas, the Lincoln Park, the land that the park sits on is part of the Concordia village that existed all the way back to 1800s here in El Paso. Concordia School was established in 1868, back when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Approximately 30 years later, the Lincoln Park School was built on the site of the Lincoln Park, and that's Lincoln Park School. That's our community center that still stands today. The building that we are fighting for was named in honor of the assassinated President Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln holds a special place here in El Paso and in the United States with the meetings that he had with Benito Juarez and the relationship in those years between Benito Juarez and Abraham Lincoln. So many times we've been asked as to changing the name of our park, Lincoln Park, to coincide with Chicano Park, with La Raza, Barrio, something more of the Chicano theme. We have resisted that. We have maintained keeping the word Lincoln Park as part of our history, part of what we are from. We have added Lincoln Park, El Paso's Chicano Park, because that is what our hermano, our founder, Felipe Adame, instilled in us and projected from his dealings with Chicano Park in San Diego, and he brought it over to us, and we continue with that feeling and that movimiento. But we feel that the history here in this region and the moment in time that our park, our community center, our school was built and named in honor of Abraham Lincoln will remain. So we have kept steady and we have kept strong with keeping our park Lincoln Park, but also committing to the moniker of Chicano Park. So that is part of the reason that the Concordia village was decimated and taken apart by progress and TxDOT and the highway systems and things of that nature. Same thing, same story. You all have heard it. I don't have to tell you guys the same story. We have churches, we had schools, we had everything. You know, they gut the whole barrio. You all know that. I don't have to tell you that story. That's the reason that we've kept our situation going, and we've kept strong with the name Lincoln Park, and we want to always be considered one of the Chicano parks. And as far as we're concerned, we are steadfast with all of you in keeping this whole movimiento moving forward as far as Los Parques Unidos.
We're just about out of time here, folks. We do want to kind of wrap it up. But I think it's, amongst ourselves, first of all, I want to say thank everybody for your time and your flexibility, but more importantly than a lot of you here, your 50 years of struggle. I thank those young folks that are here with us. they're gonna pick up the bandera and carry it for the next 50 years. I think very important that everybody had very important contributions. I hope it's obvious to people that are listening that we have a real need for dialogue. Tupak is talking about, August 13th. I think everybody mark that on your calendar. Start asking questions. And just a little feeder here. I think Bones is right in terms of looking towards the future. Everybody, people in Lincoln Park about maintaining our Chicanismo, and Tupac talking about the doctrine of discovery. I think we've matured enough now that we need to go back to the beginning and to begin to dismantle the tools of colonization. I would like to just throw one last little shout out before we go. Everybody sees the logo on the screen here that says Turning Wheels. We're very fortunate that Dr. Pulido and a few other professors here in the San Diego area have united with us in our struggle to maintain our history, our cultura, and our Chicanismo. I hope that in some ways that there are people out there that not only are inspired, but also curious enough to go out and explore. Everybody you see here, you can find on the internet, and I'm sure they would love to share ideas with you. You want to say a few words before we go, Lucas?
No, I just want to thank everybody again for joining us. I think these are important steps for us to start working as a united front and looking at these issues and looking at the issue of the doctrine of discovery and re-educating ourselves in that way. And like Tupac said, approaching it in the appropriate way and dismantling what's been in our brains already.
Exactly.
And I just, again, I just want to express thanks to you all for taking the time, and for connecting with us. And I look forward to working with you all.
One thing I'd like to talk about. I know I heard Tupac and Bones talk earlier about the August 13th date and about having some type of a unifying event or something that we could document over video or over the internet about the date, August the 13th. There was mention of a tree that had been placed before the crusade, I believe in Denver, and the mention was that it was a tree of life. Maybe something like that, where each parque would plant a tree on the same day, on that date, August the 13th, to show unity between all of the parks and begin a new tree of life, showing all the parks united. Just an idea, throwing it out there.
Excellent idea, and that's an invitation to other communities that don't have a Chicano park. Maybe you can start by planting a tree for the future, a tree that you can share that story with your children and grandchildren.
I don't know, nopal. Nopales, grab some nopales.
El nopal.
Maris in the tree, huh? We'll get on it, bro.
How about a Mexican elder?
Time. Those out that are listening, thank you for listening to what we have to say. Please ask a lot of questions.
Saludos del Paso.
Salud. Gabriel.
Ahí nos vemos, Gabriel.